Welcome back, Nerd Squad. For some, every single mutant is tracked, recorded, and accounted for in their brains. Some of us are the biggest mutant nerds ever, and we pride ourselves on knowing it all, knowing every single mutant, all of their powers, but some might be newer to mutant kind with less knowledge of who exactly has been labeled a mutant, and just exactly when or why that happened. After all, not all superhero mutants belong to the X-Men. Some of them are more closely linked with other teams and other causes, as opposed to mainly being about mutant rights. Today we'll take a look at some of these surprisingly mutant superheroes as we count down the top 10 superheroes you didn't know were mutants. Part 2. That's right, part 2. So if you haven't checked out the part 1 of this list, look it up and check it out for even more remarkably mutant heroes. If you're new to the channel as well, be sure to smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any parts 1, 2, 3, or even maybe 4 of your favorite nerdy lists. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Deadpool. Deadpool was actually first introduced in a mutant title. He made his comic book debut in New Mutants in the 90s, and in the Deadpool films you may have noticed that Colossus keeps trying to recruit Deadpool into the X-Men. So what does this mean? He's attached to the mutants, but is he one? Well, not fully, no. But Deadpool is what is considered a mutate, and although mutates are not mutants, in Dawn of X we've seen some of them treated as such. Heck, Mr. Sinister is even on the Quiet Council of Krakoa, but he is not a mutant either, he's a mutate. And if it's good enough for the mutant nation of Krakoa, then it's good enough for me. Lately, mutates have seemed to be considered as brethren when it comes to the mutant population. Beyond his casual association with mutants, he has also been romantically affiliated with some mutants, such as his relationship with mutant Copycat, the comic book mutant version of the film's Vanessa Carlyle. In fact, they're both Vanessa, they're both the same character, but just different. So he doesn't just find himself working alongside mutants, but he also finds himself in bed with them as well. Which I feel like, is affiliation, does that make you something? I mean, sometimes. He's a mutate, so we'll count him. Number 9. Wizard. Wizard originally was revealed to have received his powers as the result of a mongoose blood transfusion, which his father attempted in order to save him from bleeding out as a result of an injury. I know. Sometimes comics are really weird. Especially when it comes to emergency blood transfusions, am I right? What's with all of those? Later, one writer, Roy Thomas, would slightly retcon these origins to explain that Robert Frank had actually been a mutant the entire time, and that it was the trauma of his near-death experience and this really weird blood transfusion that caused Wizard's powers to manifest. For those who are unfamiliar with this hero, he is known for his affiliation with Bucky Barnes' team out of World War II, known as the Liberty Legion. This team was founded after the members successfully came together and rescued Cap's World War II team, known as the Invaders. Number 8. Spider-Man. I know what you're thinking, but wait a minute, Amanda, didn't you say in part 1 that Spider-Man wasn't a mutant? Well, yes, he isn't, but that was before we'd fully explored this whole new world of Krakoa. In Krakoa, although he's not a full mutant, I'm sure that Spider-Man would be treated as such, considering that he has mutate status. In fact, it wouldn't actually even be the first time he'd have become involved with mutant kind, or that mutant kind would be involved with him. People often forget that Spider-Man actually first got involved with the X-Men as early as issue 35 of volume 1 of Uncanny X-Men. That's pretty early on. Granted, Spidey and the X-Men didn't at first see eye to eye in that issue, but over the years he's become sympathetic with their fight for mutant rights, as somewhat of an outcast himself, sometimes labeled as a menace, or more recently in the MCU as a murderer. Number 7. Quicksilver. Marvel Cinematic Universe fans who enjoyed the short-lived character of Quicksilver may not know that he was in fact a mutant, or maybe you did if you were paying attention. In the film they referred to the Maximoff twins as enhanced beings. The pair became the few who were able to survive experimentation due to their unique biology, and as such were granted superpowers, or had their superpowers manifest as a result of experimentation. See what I'm talking about there? They couldn't be referred to as mutants in the MCU due to copyright issues with the mutants belonging to Fox, and while Pietro is still alive in the comics, he is no longer considered a mutant due to the High Evolutionary's mutant disguise shenanigans. This is one of those weird things where I feel like the comics tried to follow the MCU. In fact, he might even be an Inhuman now instead in the comic book world. It's kind of unclear. However, I'm hoping if we see the Maximoffs declared as mutants in the MCU, we will see that this retcon gets fixed in the comics, and hopefully we'll also get to have MCU Pietro come back to life. Apparently dodging bullets is hard when you're super fast. Number 6. US Agent. John Walker once belonged to a spin-off mutant-related team known as Omega Flight. Omega Flight was actually a stand-in team for the mutant-affiliated Alpha Flight, which has actually had quite a few mutant members on it throughout the years. Omega Flight was created as a result of Alpha Flight's dissolution. They were formed and sent to Canada by Tony Stark during the Superhuman Registration Act events of Civil War I. All of Omega Flight being registered as superhumans that Stark had sent to Canada to replace their superhero team of Alpha Flight. Other than his mutant adjacent connection, US Agent himself was declared a genetically altered mutate following his exposure to the Power Broker experimentation process, which actually killed many who did not have the unique biology needed to be able to successfully mutate and develop superhuman abilities. I feel like unique biology is always just another word for mutant, but we have mutates, we have mutants, they're different. Number 5. Madam Web. There have been a few people to adopt the mantle of Madam Web, but for the purpose of our list here today, we will be taking a closer look at Cassandra Webb. A lot of Cassandra Webb's backstory and origins remain a mystery in the comics. We first met her in Amazing Spider-Man issue 210 in 1980. In that issue, she helps Peter Parker solve a mystery involving an attack on the Daily Globe. How does she do this? Well, she claims to have supernatural psychic abilities that allow her to see what others cannot, including telepathy, which helps her to uncover and reveal that she knows that Peter Parker is in fact Spider-Man. Telepaths, am I right? Marvel has since confirmed that Cassandra's telepathic abilities are actually mutant in origin, though some still believe that her being born blind heightens her abilities and helped her to gain her psychic sensitivities. Number 4. Puck. Puck's unique rubber physiology might seem like it would make him a full mutant, it's just so out there, but sadly it has only guaranteed him mutate status of the genetically altered variety. Still, there are quite a few parallels between him and another famous Canadian mutant, Logan. Both are powerful, nigh indestructible, short superheroes with their own somewhat controversial approaches to heroism. Puck's shortness actually comes from being born with dwarfism. If you're a fan of Alpha Flight, by the way, you'll likely recognize him. His name Puck is likely a reference to the very stereotypical Canadian pastime of hockey. Hockey puck, you with me? And of course the mythical being of Puck the Sprite. Although he isn't super sprightly, but he's also petite. Number 3. Cloak and Dagger. These two have flip-flopped so many times and had their mutant origins retconned back and forth so often, it's hard to keep track. Originally the pair of heroes discovered they were mutants following their adventures alongside the X-Men's New Mutant team. Later it would be retconned that their powers were actually engineered by Despire, and would have been different had they manifested normally. But then it's also been stated that they don't have an X gene at all, and aren't mutants even in the slightest, while also being stated like almost at the same time that they definitely are mutants. So what's going on here? Cloak and Dagger's confusing mutant or non-mutant heritage just goes to show how blurry the line really can be between the terms mutant and mutate. Number 2. Deadpool. Again, sort of. We met this alternate future version of Ellie Camacho, Deadpool's daughter, in Deadpool Volume 4 out of 2016. Or Ellie Preston, because she's kind of got like a foster mom. For those who don't know, Deadpool has a daughter, by the way. In fact, in the alternate reality that this version of Ellie is from, he has 2 daughters, one which Eleanor has to fight against named Warda. For those who are familiar with Ellie Camacho, you might already know that she is a mutant, which we discovered when she was just a little baby in the comics. But we have yet to see her powers manifest in the main continuity of Earth 616. However, this alternate version revealed that her powers would likely be similar to her father's. She is capable of regenerating, but in a different way than Wade. Instead, upon her death, she is resurrected and being reborn with all of her prior memories, but as a teenager, the age she was when her powers first manifested. Even better than her dad's mutated powers in my opinion. Number 1. Scarlet Witch. Where to start? Well, if you've watched a lot of our content here on Top 10 Nerd and you're familiar with my hosting, then you might know how I feel about this retcon in the comics. I have always felt betrayed by the fact that the Maximoff twins' power origins were changed, and that it was later revealed that they were never mutants at all, but were simply disguised as such by the High Evolutionary. So frustrated that they're not related to Magneto anymore. I just, it makes me mad. However, with the mutants and non-mutant superhuman beings all cinematically being housed under the same roof, I am confident that at least in the MCU this retcon will cease to exist and that Wanda will keep her mutant status. It's already been implied that her and her brother had that unique biology, which I think was the MCU's way at the time of skirting around the word mutant. This means that it's likely that Scarlet Witch will return to mutant kind, at least on the silver screen, becoming the MCU's first appearing mutant. Yay! Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you enjoyed this list and were surprised by some of the mutants on here, especially if you're just getting into the whole world of mutants. And if you are just joining the mutant party now, I totally get it. There are so many exciting things happening right now in comics with mutant kind. Who are some of your favorite mutants? Which superheroes would you like to see slide into the category of mutant? Who do you suspect might actually get some of their powers from the X gene? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Latent mutants everywhere. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Mutants Who Became Gods. Everything's mutants right now. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Matthew Garcia comments, Gambit is always a god to me. Aw, I love all that Gambit love. I'm currently trying to read through everything Gambit and Rogue right now, so I definitely feel that. Also, if anyone has any recommendations for Gambit and Rogue reads for me that maybe I might have missed, let me know your suggestions in the comments because I would love to read more Gambit and Rogue. I'm just on a kick right now. Ellie Simmons says, loving Amanda's style game recently. Aw, thank you so much, Ellie. I have always loved playing with my fashion and curating my own stylized look, so I appreciate that love. I'm glad that it is finally working out for me, as some of my bolder fashion choices in high school branded me more of a weirdo than anything else. Though thank goodness I went to an art school where weird usually also means cool. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and your feels shouted out in a future list. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you as always to stay nerdy, YouTube.